Ladies and gentlemen, we are back and better than ever. We've had a nightmare of a time trying to get this podcast up and running, but tonight the Mitre After Puss podcast is back. Me and Jay are here to talk about the World Cup in 2022. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you in the studio for listening. So today, me and Jay are going to talk about the Mitre After Puss podcast's predictions for the World Cup 2022. So, Jay, let's begin. We're in Qatar.
Finally. About time.
Thank you for being here. We're in Qatar, Doha for the 2022 World Cup. Let's just begin straight to the point. Who do you think is going to be the winner of this World Cup? Who do you think is our most likely?
I have been thinking about this for a while, and it's so difficult to pick someone to win. But I think I can't look past Argentina this year. I don't know what I'm getting at. I'm getting the vibe that it's Messi's last World Cup and it's going to be the fairy tale ending and la da 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 da. There's other teams, obviously. You've got Brazil, France, Holland. I don't want to put England in there, but England, I don't think they're going to win because they've got
It's
Harry
a good
Maguire.
squad. They've got a good squad of players, you know.
But they've also got Harry Maguire and not Fikayo Tomori, but we'll get into that
True.
later.
Tomori.
I think Argentina have got it. They've got a cracking squad, a really, really, really good squad, and I think although Joaquin Correa is now injured, he's not playing.
Well, not ideal. He's been pretty decent form this season, I think. So
another one bites the dust.
Yeah. So let's look at this this dynamic. So we've got some massive teams in here. Let's start in Europe. So let's start closer to home. Obviously, Scotland isn't in the World Cup due to us boycotting it for human rights violations. Obviously, Scotland decided to take the moral high ground, unlike Wales and England. So let's start with our two home nations. We've got Wales and we've got England, who are our hope, I guess, if you are part of the United Kingdom, to carry us to the World Cup.
Yeah.
So let's start with England. They've had a lot of issues recently, fullbacks in particular. They had about 9, now they've got 0. Trent Alexander-Arnold is one that's caught quite a lot of controversy in regards to his selection. His current form has not been great. So as a Liverpool man yourself, what's your thoughts on him being selected, and will he sort of redeem himself over the next 6 weeks?
Listen, I'm not going to sit here and say that Trent Alexander-Arnold is the best defender in the world. He is not. He has not been good defensively this year because I've had the pleasure or the displeasure of watching him defend every week. He isn't good at defending.
No.
However, he can still bring more to that England team than a lot of those players. He still has to be one of the most creative people in that team. It's just whether he can discover the form. Because people were saying this season, he's terrible, shocking, worst right back. Last season they weren't saying that. Last year he was amazing. Last year he was brilliant. Last year he was one of the best. He was a certainty to go on the plane to Qatar. And this year he was a possibility, maybe not even going because apparently Gareth Southgate doesn't really rate him. And so the opinion switches. And I think he's got a lot of stick. Some of it rightly so, some of it not so much. And I think he deserves to be on that plane.
Yeah, well,
to be fair, there's no much other options at right back at the moment.
Yeah,
but
out of the dynamic, you had Reece James, you had Kyle Walker. Is he still on the team?
Kyle Walker is going.
See, as a whole, Kyle Walker has been, I'd say, relatively consistent over the past 5 years or so. Trent, in the years of which obviously Liverpool have been, not this season, they've not been competing for the league, but over the past couple of seasons, I think he's sort of proven himself to fit in there. Reece James, though, as a sort of outcast, a young player coming through, has really cemented his place in that Chelsea team. Obviously, unfortunate that he's injured. How would you see him, in a comparison to the two? Obviously, us looking at England, we want them to lose. As Scotsmen, it's this inherent desire.
Scottish people to give their opinion on England.
Yeah. Well, just as a player's perspective, if you're looking at...
From a purely football perspective, Reece James, if he was fit, would be on that plane, and I guarantee that if he was fit, I don't think Alexander-Arnold would be on that plane. Which is probably fair enough. Reece James is a better defender than Alexander-Arnold, 100%.
Yeah.
I have zero doubt in that. But I do believe that Alexander-Arnold is definitely better offensively. In terms of going forwards and getting the balls out of the box, and don't get me wrong, Reece James is good at that. But Trent Alexander-Arnold has become famous for his offensive prowess. And I'm going to put this in inverted commas, changing the role of how a right back works. Clearly forgetting that a right back also has to defend as well as attack.
Yeah. That reminds me of Tavernier at Rangers. Obviously, if you bring it back to a sort of Scottish Premier League perspective, Tavernier is as someone who outside as a supporter outside the old firm. If you're looking at it from a neutral perspective, Tavernier going forward is very good defensively. The Rangers fans might disagree. From what I've seen, from what I've watched when Dundee United have played them, he just seems to leave big gaps in behind. Now Rangers can play like that because they're very good attacking wise. Yeah. Same with Liverpool. They can play, once they get fully up and running and they're banging in goals for fun. Defensively, you've got Van Dijk, Joe Matip, Joe Gomez. Yeah, exactly. You've got
we'll get on to him when we get to France.
Exactly.
But,
so you've got...
Yeah, what we'll say is Alexander-Arnold, over the last few years, him and Robertson have had the luxury of having Van Dijk in his prime being the best centre-back in the world.
Yeah.
And then having Joe Gomez. People forget that in the year Liverpool won the league, Joe Gomez was amazing. Him and Van Dijk
He was good.
And were unreal. Like they didn't, and the season before they didn't concede many goals.
Yep.
And people seem to forget that because Joe Gomez has come back and had a bit of ropey time. And of course he does. He is. If I was to pick my defensive partnership at Liverpool, it'd be Van Dijk and then Konate or Matip before I pick Gomez. Doesn't mean I don't rate Gomez, but I prefer Konate.
That's understandable. So that England team is going forward wise is looking pretty good in their midfield. They've got Jude Bellingham's, things like that. Is Mason Mount playing in this World Cup?
Mason Mount is, yeah.
Mason Mount, yeah.
I've got the squad here.
If you want
to,
if you want to find out.
Pickford, Pope, Ramsdale, Alexander-Arnold, Connor Cody, Eric Dyer, Harry Maguire, Luke Shaw, John Stones, Kieran Trippier, Kyle Walker, Ben White, Jude Bellingham, Conor Gallagher, Jordan Henderson, Mason Mount, Calvin Phillips, Declan Rice, Phil Foden, Jack Grealish, Harry Kane, James Maddison, Marcus Rashford, Bukayo Saka, Raheem Sterling, and Callum Wilson.
Right, so looking at that team, right, on paper, it's a very good squad, but in the past, 5 or 6 games, England have won a single game?
I believe they've won. I think they've won 1 in the last 7 or something.
Yeah, they're not in good form. And obviously, individually, these players are really good. They've got a lot of talent, but I think defensively, they're not great. John Stones, excellent player. Don't get me wrong, very, very talented centre back. Really started coming to his own at the start of this season, previous at the end of last season. I think there's a lot of potential there that they're going to go places.
What I will say is what I've noticed is, and the thing that I picked out from the squad the moment it was announced, was I think the attacking options are there. At the time, I was thinking Ivan Toney should have been picked, but obviously everything going on with him and his 232 betting charges, it's probably the best not to have selected him.
Yeah.
The thing that caught my eye was the fact that they've only taken 1 left back, Luke Shaw.
Yeah,
does that mean that they're going to play maybe Saka at left wing back? Because he has done that before and he actually was very good there. Are they going to put maybe Trippier over?
I'm sure that they're professional footballers. They're capable of playing both sides. Obviously, you've got a comfortable side and you've got an uncomfortable side, but when you're playing at international level, you should be able to be put in the deep end and cope with that. You do it at your club level, you should be able to do it at this.
Yeah.
But that England team, I mean, obviously...
There's one missing cog from that England team, and I would have thought, that's about right, is Tomori.
See,
I think he's been robbed. I'm sorry. He says he picks players on form. Tomori's absolutely killing it over at Milan. And Harry Maguire's been bench warming for Manchester United since the start of the season.
Yep.
Harry Maguire's been selected and Tomori's been left out.
Even Eric, I'm not going to lie, Eric Dyer, I don't rate.
I don't rate Eric Dyer either.
I don't rate him.
Eric Dyer, he made, obviously, when you've in the Liverpool game, Tottenham game a few weeks ago, he made the error for the second goal.
Oh, yeah, it was embarrassing.
Again, he says he picks players on form, but he has his favourites. And Harry Maguire, Eric Dyer are his favourite. Calvin Phillips, he's played about 29 minutes of football, I think, this season for Man City. He's on the plane. And I know this is going to sound like a little biased, but people like Harvey Elliott, who's been playing almost every week for Liverpool,
a fantastic young player,
very, very well, didn't even get a look in. And I think that's where you got to say, are you picking it on form, or are you picking your favourites and the ones that worked at Euros 2020?
Yeah. No, I mean, you look at the squad, and I mean, the form is poor. It is poor. But we'll transition from England. You know, they're inconsistent.
We could talk about England for an entire podcast, mate.
Yeah, we could just rip them apart. From a Scottish perspective, obviously, it's pretty painful to look at them being in the World Cup and us not being there, but it is what it is. But looking at Wales, right, so as a Dun United man, Dylan Levitt making the international squad for Wales. Do I think he'll play? I don't think so. His form is getting better. He's been, when you play him in a more attacking position, which he's not been in the games previous, he wasn't playing in that position when before the Kilmarnock game. Put him in against Kilmarnock, played very, very well. He relies on that playing slightly higher up. He's got that creative dynamic, and I think that's just something. You look at Harvey Elliott. Obviously, comparing the two, it's quite difficult considering the levels they're at. But they play a similar role. Defensively, they're not great. Offensively, you get them in the right position with the right boys surrounding them. Mm-hmm. Comfortable defensive players, or players who know, cutting passing lanes, things like that. Mm-hmm. He's so much more relaxed.
I have the Welsh team.
Yeah. So if you want to fire that out.
Your goalkeepers are Wayne Hennessy, Danny Ward, and Adam Davis. Defenders are Ben Davis, Joe Rodon, Ben Cabango, Chris Mepham, Chris Gunter, Connor Roberts, Nico Williams, Ethan Ampadu, and Tom Lockyer. Midfield, Aaron Ramsey, Joe Allen, Harry Wilson, Joe Morrell, Matthew Smith, Dylan Levitt, Sorba Thomas, Ruben Colwell, and Johnny Williams. And your forwards are Gareth Bale, Dan James, Mark Harris, Kiefer Moore, and Brennan Johnson.
See, like there's that split. There's young and the old in that midfield and going forward. But I don't think Wales are strong enough to be considered competitors in this World Cup. Not to be rude,
no.
But they're in this sort of position where
if you're being realistic, there is a possibility of them getting out of that group. Mm-hmm. And I think the expectation for Wales is to beat Iran, to probably put up a fight with the USA, and probably lose to England. However, that's the expected. Mm-hmm. We don't know. I'm not going to sit here and say that England are going to win all 3 games. Like you said, they've not been in form. Wales have players who are in form and are doing well. Kiefer Moore, I'm going to pick him out of the bunch.
Yeah, he's been excellent this season.
He's been banging in the goals for Bournemouth lately.
Yep.
Very good. Danny Ward started the season terribly. People were telling me, I was like, I can't believe we've replaced Kasper Schmeichel with this boy. And now he's keeping clean sheets here, there, and everywhere. And
Leicester are on a good comeback.
Because he's in my fantasy team and he's always sitting on the bench and he always gets more points than Edison. So, I think,
that's true.
Like you said, there is a good balance of old and young. I say old, we'll call them experienced, and young players. And I think it's good for all the young players to play with the experienced players. Gareth Bale, obviously, being the most notable in there, but obviously you've got Aaron Ramsey, Joe Allen.
Joe Allen is there, yeah. He's been consistent for Wales.
Wee Joe has been there.
Wee Joe.
Consistency is there. I think, like I said, no one's expecting them to go in and win it. I think they're just happy to be there.
Yep. Yeah, well, I mean, it's a great experience.
They can say, we are at a World Cup. We cannot say that.
No, we can't. No, yeah,
so
you're right.
That is something that they should be extremely proud of. And like I said, I have no doubt that team will at least win a game. Because that's a very good team.
I think they're in with a chance. I think the United States are...
The US have an incredibly decent team, actually. I mean, I was looking at their team the other week and I was doing a little analysis of it. And I think I counted 8 or 9 of their 26-man squad plays in the MLS, and the rest are in Europe.
Yep.
Which
They
I
played
thought
at a
was,
high, and even in the United States. I mean, obviously, the highlights you see on the internet is poor defending, poor goalkeeping, but the standard's not bad. It's not terrible.
It's not because when you sit and watch Scottish second and third division,
Oh Christ, aye.
even first division, I think you can see some of the games. The MLS is good, but I think there's definitely a lot more American players making their way over to Europe.
Yeah.
Obviously, Christian Pulisic being a big one. You'll like it, Giovanni Reina.
Absolutely great player at Dortmund. Yep.
Giovanni Reina. Tyler Adams.
Yep, another one. RB Leipzig.
Leeds. Weston McKennie. He's at Juventus.
Juve.
They're not just middle order teams. These are big teams.
Yep. Absolutely.
Chelsea, Leeds. Obviously, Leeds are in a bit of a transition period, but Leeds are a massive team.
Even Carter Vickers for Celtic. I mean, he's
Exactly.
in that squad.
Like I said, I've looked at the squads, and that group is definitely harder than it looks. Because that US team is a good team. Timothy Weah, Weah's son, is in the squad.
I mean, he's got a lot of expectation riding on his back.
Yeah, when your dad's the only African Ballon d'Or winner, I think you're going to have a lot of expectation on your back.
I can agree with that. So I'm looking at the fixture list here. So I'm going into Group C. You've got Argentina, Saudi Arabia, and Mexico, Poland, which I think has got a really good dynamic of. I mean, Saudi Arabia in the last World Cup were really poor.
Yeah.
Really poor. They got. I think they only beat Egypt, and that was a close game. But I mean, Argentina are expected to win this group. Keyword is expected. Obviously, like you mentioned, Korea is out injured. Previous, and I mean, Mexico and Poland are no mugs. They've got some very good players in that team.
The Poland team is an interesting one because when you think of Poland, you think of one player.
Say Robert Lewandowski.
Yeah, but that team it's not a bad team.
Not Piatek's in there.
Zielinski,
yeah.
Zielinski's had an absolutely brilliant season.
Very good season.
One of the Napoli are unreal this season. They have been very good, and I think any team that's got a Napoli player in it at the moment, you're thinking yes, because they're on the form of their life. That is an interesting group. Obviously, Argentina, I've already said that I think they're going to win it. The form that Messi's been in this season it's almost like, it's not obviously Messi's got such high standards, but when you look at his last season and you look at this season, he's definitely in the form of at least the best form he's been in the last 2 years. So, and the team he's got around him, it's a very, very good squad.
Well, I'll go through. I've got the team here. So you've got Armani in goals, Foyth, Tagliafico, Montiel, Paredes, Pizzella. You've got DePaul, Acuna, Alvarez, Messi, Di Maria, and then on the bench you've got Rulli, Romero, Palacios, Gonzalez, Correa, who's no longer playing, Alejandro Gomez, Rodriguez Guido, Otamendi, Dybala, Lautaro Martinez, Damian Martinez, Fernandez, Lisandro Martinez as well, and then you've got Molina in the back as well. I mean, it's got depth. It's got such good depth.
Yeah.
I feel like that's what they've been waiting for.
Yeah. That's the problem with Argentina the last few years, is they've generally just been Messi.
All attack. It's been all attack.
There was a game they literally won 5-0 and Messi scored all 5.
Yeah.
I
think that was. I can't remember that was against.
The only thing that concerns me about Argentina, the only thing I think may let them down this year, is their defence.
You think so?
The fact that Otamendi is still getting picked for Argentina means that either the manager really likes Otamendi, or there's no younger, better centre backs out there.
But then you kind of have that, like you say, experienced head. I mean, you've got the Martinez, like 2 Martinez players that can play the back. I mean, they're no mugs. Don't get me wrong, they're no mugs, and I think that will be the test. When you look at that, like going forward, I mean, it's just they've always had just littered with talent, and it still is just. Obviously, this is Messi's last World Cup, but they've got these young players coming through who've got such potential.
You've also got to remember the players who aren't going. Keep in mind, Dybala's out injured. He's not there.
That's true, actually, yeah.
And obviously, you're saying Joaquin Correa's just had to pull out through injury.
Yeah.
So there's cracking players who aren't going. So, yeah, Argentina's squad is definitely much deeper than it used to be. And I think that's something that most football fans will be excited, because I think, especially after this week's little incident with Cristiano Ronaldo, I think people are thinking, this is Messi's last year. I think people actually want Messi to win it.
I think from a perspective, I think he's one of the best. I mean, he graced Tannadice a few years back now.
I think he is the greatest footballer to have ever.
Yeah, well, I mean, you've got your older generation who will argue tooth and nail against that. But as someone who's as we were born in 2000, growing up, Messi and Ronaldo took over from your Ronaldinho's, your older Ronaldo, Thierry Henry, even though he's sort of played in his elder years as we were growing up, but just the consistency to play at such a high level and be so good. Like, the pair of them, Ronaldo and Messi. Like, Messi, to me, there will never be a better player.
No, I don't think.
Maybe a slightly taller player, but never better. Just such raw talent.
I saw something that Ian Wright said about Ronaldo, saying he might need therapy to come to terms with the fact that his career's coming to an end. Yeah. And I think that is his issue. I think Ronaldo is struggling to come to the end of the fact that sooner or later he's not going to be able to play at that top level anymore.
I think he's kind of reaching. He's still Cristiano Ronaldo.
I know he's still
Ronaldo.
He's a name. He draws money. But I was watching Man United the other day and watching him run around. He's not. There's no pressure. He just can.
Thoughts about.
And that was obviously before this whole interview.
Piers Morgan interview.
Piers Morgan came out.
Aye. Yeah. But I mean, so that's Group C, and then at the same time, at the same day, you've got Group D. Now, I think Group D is something that is interesting because Scotland, we beat Denmark. We comfortably beat Denmark. That's probably the best Scottish performance I've seen, other than the Ukraine game. That was fantastic. But you've got Denmark, Tunisia, France, and Australia. From a general glance, you'd expect France and Denmark to go through.
Yes.
Aziz BH is in the Australia squad from Dundee United. Will he be playing up against Mbappe? I'm not sure. But that France squad, the French team.
Jason Cummins against,
oh my God, fucking Varane. It's insanity.
Varane's injured.
Alright, hold on, sorry.
You know what it's going to be? And I was, again, having a conversation the other day, I've been talking a lot about this. The two defenders that should start for France should be William Saliba and Ibrahima Konate. That's the two you start with.
What about Koundé, though?
Koundé's playing in I know Barcelona are top of the league, right?
Uh-huh.
But I would just... so this is just for me. I would just love to see Saliba and Konate.
What about again? But the depth you've got as well.
You've got Upamecano as well.
Upamecano is there as well, and he's so good.
I know. And I just think that those three, Konate, Upamecano, and Saliba, are the future of the French squad. Koundé as well. He is there. I just think I would love to see Saliba and Konate at the World Cup, because I think they would do a job. They're both very similar. They're both very quick. They're both very strong. They're both massive.
Yeah. Well, the team that they've listed,
I actually think, and this isn't me just being a Man United hater, I genuinely think that out of the four centre-backs that we've just mentioned, Varane, Upamecano, Konate, and Saliba, Varane is probably the worst, on current form, the worst out of the four.
Obviously, the player's been littered with history. He's won everything. But the team, right? Let me just quickly list off. This is the one that's been listed by FIFA. Mm-hmm. So you've got Lloris, Mandanda, Areola, right? You've got Benjamin Pavard, Axel Arthur Disasi, Varane, Koundé, Fofana, Saliba, Upamecano, Lucas Hernandez, Theo Hernandez, Konate. Just unbelievable at the back. Midfield-wise,
that defence is unbelievable.
It's the depth there is just... You could play two starting 11s and you'd still...
You got to remember, the people you haven't got... Ferland Mendy wasn't selected.
I know. I don't know how he was not selected for that squad. I'll never know.
Yeah, France defence is scarily good.
The midfield, I think, is where they're ropey.
Slightly weaker, because they don't have Kante. They don't have...
Camavinga's not even in that squad.
I thought Camavinga wasn't in the squad.
No, he's not. You've got Guendouzi, Tchouameni, Rabiot, Veretout, and another boy, I can't even pronounce his name. But I mean, it's very defensive and quite slow. I don't think that. I think that's where they'll break down. I think they'll play a lot of wide play with the Hernandez twins.
I think they've also obviously announced a few days ago that Christopher Nkunku is now injured as well,
which is it's heartbreaking
because he's been brilliant.
He's such a good player.
And now, what do they do though? Did they bring in another forward? Because Nkunku can play further back and play as like I said at number 10.
He can play cam. But you look at their forward lines. You've got Antoine Griezmann, Olivier Giroud, Kylian Mbappe, Ousmane Dembele, Kolo Muani, Benzema, Kingsley Coman. So and Marcus Thuram.
I love that Kolo Muani's been picked. I think that is awesome that he's been selected.
Yeah, he's been fantastic.
He's been brilliant.
But I think, you drop Dembele and Coman back into that midfield. I think the easiest thing for them to do, and I know this is going to be totally kind of counterproductive move for them, but with the amount of quality centre backs, you could do 3 at the back with wing backs. Yeah.
Theo Hernandez one wing, and then I don't know who you want on the other wing. So that's your choice.
You could probably put.
I wouldn't put Pavard there. I don't think he's quick enough.
That is his position. Though he plays at right fullback.
I know, and then have your Upamecano, Kanate, Saliba, because that's disgusting.
It's just outrageous. It's just ridiculous.
You know what that is? That's one of those defences, and this is going to be a very generational thing for us. But when you go into FIFA and you're trying to decide which centre back to put in the middle of 3, because you've got the quickest ones, but they're all rapid. And it's sitting there going, which one do you put in the middle? And I think you've got anything that's got Mbappe in it is a contender.
Absolutely, I think he's my captain of my fantasy team.
Yeah, I went Messi. Messi.
Looking at the next 2 groups, on the 23rd, you've got Morocco and Croatia in Group F, and Belgium and Canada in Group F, and then in Group E, which they've both got 2 very strong contenders. So Group E, you've got Germany, Japan, Spain, and Costa Rica. And then Group F, Morocco, Croatia, Belgium, Canada.
I would not rule out Japan. Japan are always one of these teams that will make an upset.
Yeah.
The one player that comes to my mind, and this isn't going to be the one you think it is because of Liverpool connections, it's not Minamino. It's Kamada
from Frankfurt.
Who plays for Frankfurt. He is brilliant.
What a player.
So good. But they've got a really good team. I was looking at it again. There's some known names. Maeda from Celtic's in there.
Yep.
Obviously Minamino, Tomiyasu, Kamada. There's good players. I would never rule out Japan.
But do they contend though against that Germany squad? The Germany team.
That Germany squad is unbelievable as well.
I'll take you through it, right? Because as a man who loves the Bundesliga,
if you got it up, yeah,
I've got it up here, yeah. So your goalkeepers, it's just ridiculous. You've got Manuel Neuer, Kevin Trapp, Andre ter Stegen. Defense, Antonio Rudiger, David Raum, Matthias Ginter, Kehrer, Nicolas Sula. Klosterman,
because and I've seen him at West Ham. He looks okay at times.
He's very good. Christian Gunter, Nico Schlotterbeck, and then Bella. Well, I can't even see his name there. It's kind of run off. In midfield, Josh Hakimi, Leon Goretzka, Mario Götze, Thomas Müller, Jamal Musiala, Julian Brandt, Jonas Hoffmann, Leroy Sané, Ilkay Gundogan. Going forward, Kai Havertz, Nicholas Füllkrug, Serge Gnabry, Adeyemi, Makoko. Just the young talent coming through in that forward line with the experience.
Think of that in 4 years' time, the Germany will play with a front 2, and it will be Karim Adeyemi and Yusufa Makoko. It's going to feel like Football Manager.
It is, yeah.
Honestly, the fact that Yusufa Makoko has been banging in the goals this season for Dortmund is really, really good to see, especially since I'm a Liverpool fan and apparently we're looking to sign him in January, and that makes me very happy.
If you're looking at it from a Premier League perspective, the talent you can just pick out is phenomenal. But I just obviously you've got that really nice blend of young players coming through, and then that mix of experienced heads: Thomas Müller, Mario Götze, Leon Goretzka. I mean, Kimmich's done it all, and he's only in his mid-20s. Gundogan again is still relatively young. He's got another World Cup in him. Leroy Sané as well. Hoffman's just coming through. He's been having a good season so far.
Hoffman had an unreal season last season.
And then this defence. I mean, you've got like your classic, your Rudiger and your Niklas Süle, who have been in great form this season. I mean, Rudiger has been unbelievable at Real Madrid. It's just littered with talent
as well.
It's just littered with talent. I think that they're serious, in my opinion, and that's not me being biased, because obviously I love that German football dynamic, the way that they play, the aggressiveness of their football.
You just love Germany as a country.
I do. I think it's great. I genuinely think that they've a seriously good chance of coming through in this World Cup and just causing an upset, or not causing an upset, but I mean, they weren't great last time around. They weren't great, very inconsistent, a bit holy. Obviously, Tony Kroos is not in that lineup. That's that experienced head away. It's a big loss, but at the same time, he's.
Did you say Emre Can? Did he get selected?
Emre Can's not in the squad now.
That's another one. So, the thing is about Emre Can is he's midfield, play defence as well. But the fact that you're not picking someone who can do both, it shows the testament to the squad that they've got.
I mean, even going forward, they're missing Timo Werner as well. I mean, that again, you add that sort of that pace. Again, he's been good since he's come back. Don't get me wrong, he's been very good since he come back to RB Leipzig. Didn't really have it at Chelsea because the transitions from managers to the different play style. It's not suited to his play.
Yeah,
but it's just ridiculous. It is. But you go look at the other games that are taking place. I mean, you've got that Spain team.
I have the Spain squad here.
Yeah, if you want to fire through that real quick.
So the Spain squad, you've got Unai Simon, Robert Sanchez, and David Raya. So no David De Gea.
No, he's not been.
Which is, I think that's absolutely fair enough. And I actually look at Sanchez. He's been very, very good for Brighton.
Yeah.
Except when he kicked Luis Diaz in the face last season and didn't
minor
get sent
oversight.
off. I have a wee bit of hatred there. Your defence, you've got Azpilicueta, Carvajal, Garcia, Torres, Alba, Gaia, and Guillamon. A decent defence, again, a mixture of kind of older and younger. In your midfield, I missed it. I'm Eric Laporte as well. He's there as well. Midfield, Sergio Busquets, Rodri, Gavi, Pedri, Soler, Koke, Llorente.
That's just
midfield
wow.
Is Busquets behind Gavi and Pedri.
And you can't really let Llorente in there as well. It's just
Llorente can also play in the back, right back if need be. Again, you've got Rodri, who arguably is just a younger Busquets.
He's very, very good. I think there should be, when they're playing, again, it depends how they want to play. Spain, they're just famous for such great possession football. Rodri playing in that Man City team, he just looks like he's never been out of place. He just slots in perfectly. I think he's in with such a good shout of really taking up that role over when Busquets retires.
I think I really like that. It's gonna be, it will be Gavi and Pedri.
I mean, wow.
That is a scary prospect, to think that those two players so young are going to be the focal point of a Spain midfield when they've not picked people like Thiago.
Yeah.
And Thiago was brilliant last season, and he's in his Liverpool team that was struggling this season. He's been one of the few people who can say, I've played well.
Yeah.
So I think the fact that those midfielders have been picked over people like Thiago, you can say, yeah, I think I'm doing well. And your forwards, you've got Pablo Sarabia, Nico Williams, Marco Asensio, Alvaro Morata, Ferran Torres, Yeremy Pino, and Dani Olmo.
I mean, it's pretty good. It's not. I mean, Ferran Torres lacking a bit of confidence, I think.
Compared to previous Spanish attacks, that is not the strongest we've seen.
It's not great. But I mean, you're
people
competing against like David Villa's and your Fernando Torres's. And,
Villa,
I mean,
Torres,
that's just the level that they're at. But I mean, again, there's young talent coming through in that team alongside some pretty level heads. I think that's pretty decent.
People missing Gerard Moreno.
Yeah, I think he's
Very,
injured.
very good for
Oh,
Villarreal.
no, I think he just didn't get selected, actually.
Didn't get selected.
Preo, did you say Preo was in that team?
Parejo isn't in that team. He's older though. I think he retired from international duty. Danny Parejo.
It's just there's a lot of strength.
There's some good Spanish players who didn't get picked. But
So
that's testament to how good, not just how good Spain are, but how good world football is that there's world class players who aren't even getting selected for the national team.
True. Well, we had this sort of golden era of Belgian football in the past sort of 8 years, right? Some really, really quality football that just never quite reached the heights that they should. And I'm looking at this Belgian team.
I think that they're coming through. They've had to come to the other side of their boom period.
They've kind of ridden.
Coming to the end. Eden Hazard's not where he used to be. De Bruyne is still De Bruyne.
De Bruyne is De Bruyne.
De Bruyne is De Bruyne.
I've got the team here.
Yeah.
I mean, so you've got goalkeeping, also very good. Thibaut Courtois, Simon Mignolet, and Cohen Casteels. Defensively wise, though, you've got Tommy Alderweireld, Tiet, Face, Vertonghen. I'm playing butchering that name there. Donkart and Zabast. And in midfield, you've got Axel Witsel, classic. Kevin De Bruyne, Yuri Tielemans, very good. Thomas Meunier, who can play right back. Torgan Hazard, very good player at Dortmund right now, playing at left mid. Yep, he can do it all. Amadou Onana, Hans Vanaken, who has also been very good. Vanaken's been very, very good. Timothy Castagne, again, can play it in defence and forward.
In recent weeks, he's been very, very, very good for Leicester.
He has been very good.
And he was very, very good for Leicester at the start when he joined them, and then he got injured for ages. And he's come back, and he's been brilliant. Because he's in my fantasy team. Points every week.
What I think, obviously, makes this Belgian team, it's kind of like the Argentina squad, where it's just going forward. The talent is absolutely outrageous. Like you've got Romelu Lukaku, Belgian all-time goal scorer, Eden Hazard, Yannick Carrasco, Dries Mertens, Leandro Trossard, who's been fantastic at Brighton.
He's been tremendous for Brighton this season.
Michy Batshuayi, Openda, and Jeremy Doku, and then you've got Giteleri
Catalara or something like that. He's good. He's a man boy. Yeah.
So I mean, the depth again they've got in that squad going forward wise, I think they can drop some players back into defence, but it's just a very good on paper squad. You kind of coming at the end of it. I mean, obviously you've got Croatia, Morocco, and Canada. I think that group will be quite tight.
Canada, obviously. Something made me laugh about Canada, right? And this is what I noticed. It's genuinely like in a game of FIFA when you've got a crap team, but it's got one good player, right? And I'm not saying Canada are crap, but what I'm saying is Alphonso Davies is listed as a forward for Canada, not as a defender when he's a left back. And that's what made me laugh. It's like, because he's quick and he's your best player, you stick him up top. That's the way it is.
I mean, they've still got Jonathan David, haven't they?
Yeah. Oh, I think he's injured. I think he's injured.
I think they'll struggle. I think, again, Croatia as well, they've got good players coming through there. Obviously, they've been pretty solid.
Do you remember, was it 2014 where Costa Rica were brilliant? And they got out, they got to the quarter final and they were class.
Yeah, I think they had Campbell boy playing it right mid. I think he was at Arsenal at the time.
Aye. He was on loan at Valencia, but he was on loan from Arsenal.
Yeah. Well, I mean, coming in the last few groups here, so we've got G and H. So we'll start with G.
Yeah.
So you've got Switzerland, Cameroon, Brazil, and Serbia.
Good group.
I think there's a lot of variety in there. Obviously, you've got your big headline name. You've got Brazil in that group. Expected to go through. I mean, that Brazil squad, I don't know if you've got it up or not.
I've got it now, yep.
Yeah, I mean, just... You don't even need to think, you don't even need to listen, you can just rattle off players.
It's three of the scariest goalkeepers. As I said, that goalkeeping lineup, imagine having to pick between Alisson, Edison and Weverton. Everton not known as much. He plays for obviously Palmeiras. Palmeiras.
Yeah. But he's had a fantastic season.
He's a very, very good season.
Very good.
But, like, you've got Alisson and Edison, who are probably the two, arguably, at this moment in time, the two best keepers in the world. Up there, obviously, with Courtois. I think the amount of times Alisson has saved Liverpool's ass, I've lost count. He's on the ball, he's brilliant. He got an assist for Salah early on in the season. He's got more goal contributions in the last, let's say, year and a half, 2 years, than Jack Grealish. And Jack Grealish plays left wing. Yeah. I think it's scary. And he can pull off a moustache, a full beard, no hair. He's just got it all. He's just got it all. He's just a beautiful bastard.
I think that defence is what will make or break this Brazil squad and midfield.
The defence is Dani Alves, Thiago Silva, Marquinhos, Danilo, Alex Telles, Alexandro, Eder Militao, and Bremer.
See, Bremer coming through, young boy, but it's a lot of the old guard still exist in that
Eder
team.
Militao,
again, he's coming in. Marquinhos has still got.
Marquinhos is still.
He's still got it. He's never had it.
It should be Bremer, Eder Militao, and Marquinhos, but I guarantee
Thiago Silva there though. He's the
Dani Alves. That's the confusing one for me.
Fine wine, like a fine wine. But he's so talented. Talented.
Yeah,
he's the most successful. I think he's the most successful football player of all time.
I think Messi took over him now.
Yeah, he's blood. I mean, the fact that is, you're on that list as probably the most successful footballer of all time, alongside the greatest footballer of all time. You must be doing something right.
Yeah, you must be playing in a very good team.
Oh, something like that, maybe.
Their midfield is Bruno Guimaraes, Casemiro, Lucas Paqueta, who's listed here as a Lyon player, not a West Ham player. Interesting. Fabinho, Fred, Everton, Ribeiro, and that's in the field.
It's not bad. That's pretty defensively solid. I mean, you put Fred in there.
It's probably what you expected to be picked, to be fair.
Yeah. I mean, Fabinho is just the Brazilian Sergio Busquets, in my opinion.
But he's not
quite the same.
He's not been great this season.
Confidence, though.
I call him the janitor for the last few years because he's just there mopping up other people's mistakes. He's like, my dad says he's got go-go gadget legs. He's just like extends them.
He's a very lengthy player.
Very, 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 very good player. Not been great this season. However, winning a World Cup might make your confidence go up.
True.
And their forwards list is crazy considering some of the people who have missed out. Neymar, Gabriel Jesus, Vinicius Jr., Anthony, Richarlison, Rafinha, Rodrigo, Gabriel Martinelli, and Pedro.
I mean, and that's without Bobby Firmino in that.
And that's without Bobby Firmino, who has scored more goals than Gabriel Jesus and Richarlison and Anthony this season.
Yeah.
And Martinelli. So
I think
I know that. Listen. Martinelli deserves to go. He's been brilliant for Arsenal. Yeah. Jesus deserves to go. Be very good for Arsenal. Not scoring goals, but making difference.
He's such an integral part of that team.
In a very, very, very good Arsenal team. I don't like Richarlison.
No, I don't think anyone does.
I think Richarlison, who's been injured a lot this season, not played much, not done much at all, getting picked over Firmino, I think is a bit unfair. And I'm not saying that because he's ex-Everton and I'm a Liverpool fan. I'm saying that as a complete just.
He's not lived up to the potential that he could. He's a very talented player.
Stats between him and Firmino this season, and said which one of these goes to the World Cup, you'd pick Firmino's stats.
Yep.
But Richarlison goes. And I think that's the only thing that's a bit like. But that team is very good. It is very good, and I think it's one of those ones that you're like, you're trying to look past them, but they are there. They are.
Yeah.
They are going to be probably in the 4 best of the tournament.
So, on reflection, obviously, in the other groups, you've still got Uruguay in that.
Darwin Nunez is going to score 40 goals in this World Cup.
So you've got Portugal. I mean, you've got Ronaldo. I mean, that Portuguese side is also very, very good. Let's not take that away.
A lot of people missing.
Yeah.
Okay, and big name is the missing is Diogo Jota.
Yeah. Yeah, is he out for injury or?
out for injury. His knee's gone. He'll be out to the new year. He's got a full Greg Williamson knee problem.
Don't even. Doctors tomorrow for that.
And that's a shame because he's.
I'm looking at the team right now, right? So, I mean, I get very good depth, in my opinion. I mean, Rui Patricio, Jose Sa, Diogo Costa. Defence,
Jose Sa was brilliant last season.
Such a good goalkeeper.
For Wolves, he was so good.
So you've got Dallo, Pepe, Ruben Dias, Rafael Guerrero, great player. Danilo, great player. Nuno Mendes, great player. João Cancelo, Antonio Silva. That's very good defence. Very, very good defence.
Portuguese team, people always look past Portugal as the Ronaldo team. But Ronaldo's going to retire from international duty soon, and that team's still going to be class.
I mean, João Palhinha, Bruno Fernandes, William,
Matheus Nunes,
Vitinha, João Mario, Ruben Neves, Matheus Nunes, Otavio, going forward, Ronaldo, André Silva, Bernardo Silva, João Felix, Rafa Leao, Ricardo Horta, Gonçalo Ramos, and it's just Emmanuel Fernandes.
Like I said, that's without Diogo Jota, who would have been in that squad. It's a crazy squad.
It's a very good... I mean, if you were to take your top 5 picks out of all the teams available, right? Out of all the obviously we've not gone into depth about obviously a lot of the nations that we don't expect to do well, and that's no disrespect to them, but that's just because
if we did, we'd be here
all day. So we're looking at our the big highlight names. So in my opinion, out of all the teams, your top 5, right? We've not even looked at the Netherlands squad, to be fair.
We'll go back and look at that because they're very good as well.
But in my opinion, it's got to be Argentina, Brazil, Germany, France, and Portugal.
You've also got Holland,
yep.
England, Uruguay. I would never look past Uruguay.
No.
They love a World Cup, Uruguay.
They do.
I've actually got their squad up.
I just don't see... I see out of every group, I think that the Netherlands go through. I think that England go through.
I'll pull up the
United States go through. I'm sorry, Wales. Argentina go through. Poland and Mexico, I think, is a very good. I think that group C is very, very good. Denmark and France go through.
That is difficult to call.
Absolutely. Germany and Spain have to go through.
Yeah, I've got the Uruguay squad and the Holland squad. I'll quickly run through them. Goalkeepers, Fernando Muslera, Sergio Roche, and Sebastian Souza. You've got Diego Godin making a World Cup appearance.
Another fine wine player.
Guillermo Varela, Jose Jimenez, Ronald Araujo.
Who does he play for again?
He plays for Barcelona. Barcelona defender. Amazing in FIFA.
I'm sitting there trying to process his name. Yeah, obviously.
But he's brilliant.
Very good centre-half.
Jose Luis Rodriguez, Matias Vina, Sebastian Coates, Martin Cáceres, and Mateus Oliveira. Manuel Ugarte, Rodrigo Bentancur, who's been very good.
Very good for Tottenham.
Pulling them out of a lot of trouble lately. Nicolas de la Cruz, Georgian de Arrasqueta, Lucas Torreira, Federico Valverde, arguably one of the best midfielders in the world at the moment. He's been unbelievable for Real Madrid.
Agreed.
Matías Vecino, Luis Suarez,
classic.
Maxi Gomez,
very
Olsen good. Canobio, Facundo Torres, Edinson Cavani, Facundo Palestre for Man United, and Darwin Nunez.
Again, you can't knock them.
You can't. That squad,
it's a good squad.
It's a very good squad. And
it's a good squad.
If you've got Luis Suarez firing on all cylinders, if you've got Darwin Nunez firing on all cylinders, and he's been coming into a good bit of form lately with Liverpool, if he's on it, Suarez on it, Cavani on it, Valverde on it, that team is a very good contender.
What I'll do, I'll quickly go through the Netherlands squad. Right, I'll just quickly glance through it, right?
Can we just take a moment before you start? Remco Pasveer, 40-odd-year-old Ajax goalkeeper. He's ancient and he's in the World Cup squad. Fair play.
You've got to respect it. You've got to respect it. So you've got Noppert and Bijelo. Defensive-wise, I mean, Timber, De Ligt, Van Dijk, Ake, De Vrij, Malacia, Blind, Dumfries, Frimpong, all household names. I mean, Jeremy Frimpong, he's a very young player coming through. He must be 20 years old at Bayer Leverkusen. Very good player. Malacia as well, again, coming through at Man United. very good. That's some great experience in there alongside some growing young players. Their midfield, again, overlaps a lot with their forward line. So their midfield, Berghuis, Klaassen, Darun, Koopmeiners, De Jong, Taylor, and Simmons. Xavi Simmons, I mean, wow, what a player. And then going forward...
It feels like he's been young for ages because he's like, what's he now, like 19?
He's just been so present. He's just got.
He actually scored. He's probably scored, and I was going to stand in. He scored one of the best disallowed goals for VAR I think I've ever seen. He dribbles through like 4 boys and he just puts it in the bottom corner. Gets disallowed for VAR. And man, I was like, I would have been raging.
But I mean, going forward, I mean, players who are in great form. I mean, Cody Gakpo is one of them.
He's arguably one of the best talents in Europe at the moment. He's been very good.
A lot of people's watch lists. I mean,
and then you flip right over to Vincent Janssen. He failed miserably at Tottenham, but has managed to pull it back at Antwerp. So fair enough.
Yeah, I mean,
Depay, Weghorst, Bergwijn,
De Jong.
So.
Yeah, I mean, it's like on paper, a very good squad. I mean, a lot. I don't see them. In my opinion, I don't know how they play coercively as a top 5 team. Again, obviously a top 10. They're a European powerhouse, always have been, always will be, producing such young, good players.
I think the scary thing now is you go back to 2010 and you look at those teams and you're thinking Spain, Germany, England should have been in there, but they were terrible. Brazil, and then Uruguay, and now you've got Argentina, Portugal, Holland, Uruguay, France, Denmark, Uruguay, and Brazil. I'm going to run out of fingers to count how many teams who could win this World Cup.
On reflection, obviously, it's not been as hyped. In my opinion, it's not been as hyped up. I don't think anyone's as excited.
Listen, talking about the circumstances of this World Cup, the fact that it's in winter is the first thing. It's meant
halfway through the season.
The problem with World Cup, the thing is about the World Cup is it's meant to bridge the gap between the end of the football season and the start of the football season. It gives you football in the summer, which everyone loved, and they went, you know what? People are enjoying that too much. Let's have it in the middle of the season and make our players play when they get back. The top teams are going to be playing 3 games a week.
Yeah.
And obviously, I know they're meant to be fit as hell and obviously controversial, but
they're going to be knackered.
They're going to be absolutely knackered.
Unless you're playing like 4 games and you go home.
Yeah, unless you get put out in the group stages.
But you've got your big players. I mean, if you're Portugal, if you're Germany, all these teams playing the Champions League, huge players.
Yeah.
They're just going to have to. I mean, they're only human. They've only got so much stamina, only so much strength.
We could talk for hours about why this World Cup probably shouldn't be happening.
No, yeah, it should be.
There's definitely multiple different reasons to why it shouldn't be happening, logical and moral.
Yep.
That's another whole different topic. I think if you're talking about it in general, this is going to be probably the most difficult World Cup to play in because you're not getting that break afterwards. You're coming straight back into Premier League. You've gone straight from Premier League. We'll take Premier League. Straight from Premier League football into World Cup for a month to come back. You're playing straight into Premier League football again.
Yeah.
The point about the World Cup is to give you a break beforehand, a break at the end.
Yeah, it's like an intense pre-season, and then you've still got pre-season. And it's like, it's just not a good combination.
Not intense. It's not. It's not fair on the players.
No.
And it's also, I say it's not fair on us. It is fair on us. We get football regardless, but we would be getting football whether this World Cup wasn't happening or not right now because we have league football.
Yeah, and in the summer,
I know we can see them are spoiled. We want football. We want football in the summer. I want this. I want that. It makes more sense to have it in the summer. And again, you're probably going to get more viewers in the summer because people are going to be like, I miss the football, whereas people are like,
But the thing is, you're put in a country that's not rich for football and history. It's not rich for culture.
When they got announced they were having this World Cup, they hadn't had any stadiums built. They had to build the stadiums after they were announced.
And they did their population. growth is based on migrant workers who they then treat very poorly. Now, who are we to then get on our high horse?
Yeah, we're not a political podcast.
We're using our fucking iPhones, blah blah blah. You've got these people who will play devil's advocate, but in retrospect, thousands of people have died for this. Fans don't want the World Cup to be held here. There are so many countries who have the potential to hold these tournaments, who have already got the stadiums built. There'll be the right seasons, so it will be played during the summer, non-life-threatening conditions, and fans can access it. It's more welcoming. There's more rights, equal rights. Gay people can be there. You can drink. You can show affection in public. And that's no disrespect to the Islamic culture at all. That's not what I'm saying. But these things come hand in hand in football. We're supposed to be an open, welcoming sport. It is supposed to be all-inclusive. Everyone gets involved.
It's a beautiful game for a reason. But the beautiful game shouldn't be limited to one, gender, one sexual orientation.
Yep.
It's not like it's called the beautiful game for everyone, and I think that's where the lines of this World Cup are trying to be. They're trying to blur them because they're trying to focus on the football, don't focus about what's happening outside of the football.
It's painful.
You're telling me that I can't take my girlfriend to watch the football and give her a hug? That's not how that works.
No,
I can't give her a hand.
And that's but
I can't give her a hug and celebrate a goal. We are not political activists. We are not. I'm not doing politics. Somebody is.
I am, but we're not trying to step on the toes.
I'm a civil engineer, not a politician.
We're not trying to.
But it's common moral values.
Yes.
Treat people like you want to be treated, and I don't
not
know
basing human morality not on religious texts is something that I feel strongly about. But it's not.
The beautiful game is for everyone. Doesn't matter what gender.
And they say keep
race,
politics out of football. That's what they say. There'll be people like that be in the comments saying keep politics out of football, but they'll be the first to. And it's controversial. Have your poppies at your football matches, and have your flags being waved, and having. It's just there's so many little things, but they're so important to be spoken about, and you can't be selective in your agenda. If you have a problem with the nation that's holding this World Cup, you have to go foot on the gas. We won't go into it any further because we don't want to step on toes and we don't want to upset.
What we're here for, yeah.
But in reflection, it's put a dampener on the podcast, it's put a dampener on the episode because of where it is and how it's been constructed and what you can and can't do. You've got to respect the culture. Nah, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. I'm not.
Don't get into it. It's
not going to do it.
Honestly, it's a wormhole that save it for Twitter, mate.
Yeah, save it for arguing with 45-year-old mums.
Because I definitely don't want to be listening to you ramble on about this. Not because I don't think it's right, but because I know it's never going to end, and I would like to go to bed at some point. And I don't think all three viewers are going to. If they wanted to watch a political podcast, they will watch one. We're here to talk about the football side.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think we've covered it quite well. I think we've so if we were to say who's going to go on to win it,
I've said Argentina.
Our initial guess was, Argentina are going to win it, and then when you look at it in reflection on the depth of the squads, the talent of the players, the management side of it as well, who each side is managed by, it becomes more complicated. But I will stick to my guns. I actually do think, however much I want Messi to win it, I do think Germany will be.
I'm sticking by Argentina. I think, like I said, but anyone can win it. You never know. We might be sitting here in a month and a half time thinking, I cannot believe Serbia just won the World Cup. You never know. You never know. And that's the beauty about these tournaments, is that's why we tune in every 4 years to watch these things, because you never know. Like you said, Germany won the World Cup 2014, 2018 went out in the group stages.
Yep.
Spain won the World Cup 2010.
Out in the group stages.
In 2014.
Yep.
Italy, and I'm going to go back. Italy won it in 2006. Went out in the group stages in 2010. I'm not saying that France are going to go out in the group stages here.
I'm
saying there is a pattern forming.
Yeah, it could be a curse. But I think on that bombshell, I think it's time to end. I think we've covered, after all our complications, after all the difficulties we've had, I think
honestly,
we've come...
trying to get this bloody podcast started, honestly, you have no idea. I'd be sitting here and he's talking to no one. He's sitting there and he's trying to talk to me and I can't hear him.
It's gradual, just going silent. But I'd like to say thank you, everyone. Thank you if you're listening. Thank you very much. Don't be afraid to like and share with your friends. Comment down below what your opinions are on who's going to win this World Cup, any dark horses, any upsets you think might happen. But again, thank you very much. Appreciate your time. We'll see you in the next one. Have a good day.